everybody, welcome. This is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design. And today I'm excited to share what we are all craving these days. Some inspiration, positivity, and super cool ideas. Now, today we are revealing the winners of Formica's 2021 Form Student Innovation Competition. And with me to celebrate is Vice President of Marketing for Formica, and my dear friend, Amy Gaff. Amy, how are you?
I am fabulous, Cindy. It's so great to see you. This has been so fun and it feels so good. And it feels so good to finally be able to share the winners.
I know. And now, Amy, can you believe it's already been a year since we revealed the 2020 winners?
No, a lot has happened in the last year.
I know. And just to remind everybody, last year's was super fun. We were right in the middle of the pandemic. But I'd love to give just a little bit of history because I really like that this idea came from another Formica competition years ago. And I kind of love when you dig back and find these treasures. And you had one. So can you tell us how it originated?
Absolutely. So back in 2008, Formica issued a challenge to some of the architect and design greats. And it was use Formica products to create something that you could sit upon, lay upon, or play upon. And we worked with some really amazing people, Zaha Hadid, Michael Graves, Massimo Vignelli. I actually have Lorinda Spear's chair right behind me.
I love that.
It's fabulous. And so we really, we loved working with these people. They did amazing things with Formica that was so inspirational. And then back in 2018, so 10 years later, we had lost so many of those incredible talents.
But not Lorinda, who's right behind you.
That's absolutely right. We are so glad she's still here, and we are so glad to have her chair in our office. It really is a fabulous piece. And we thought, what better way to celebrate than by kind of celebrating the next generation of amazing architectural and design talent. And so we started by issuing that same challenge to students across the US and Canada. And so now here, 4 competitions later, we are.
Yeah, well, first of all, happy anniversary, 4 competitions later. And also, back then, just for everybody out there to get a sense, these were works of art. You know, back then when these competitions were held, designers and architects pulled out all the stops in a completely different way than now, but they all could have been in a museum, seriously, right?
Yes, and they were, absolutely. Yeah. They sat in the Contemporary Arts Center here in Cincinnati as part of an exhibition for a while. They were truly amazing. And now they're kind of spread across the world. One of Zaha's piece, we had several versions of each made, sits in our showroom in Milan. And we had a version in New Zealand. And so it's really kind of fabulous how this amazing work also covered the globe.
It really is. And everybody's vision was completely different. And the thing I love about Formica, because I actually am such a big Formica fan, I love Formica, is that it's like the building block for any idea. It's a great architectural product, and it reveals itself in these competitions in really innovative ways.
Oh, and I think we love to show people that. And I think it can really, you're right, it can really be a building block for any vision. And it allows you to kind of push the bounds of design. And so I think that's part of what's so fun. I think we always love it when people do inspirational things with our material. And I think that's why we wanted to bring in students too. I think students have a fresh perspective, new ideas that help us think differently too.
Yeah, they're totally, their minds are free. So, and they are thinking about solving problems in a different way, and that's what's really fun and it'll reveal itself as we go through the competition too. First of all, I'd love to thank the jurors. Do you want to name them for us?
Oh, absolutely. Our jurors are amazing, and of course, starting with you, we were thrilled to have you on our jury this year, so that was fantastic. Cheryl Durst from IIDA, Loved working with her. She was a second year juror for us. Aldalai was with us this year. Vern Yip, Sarah Kuchar, and then Renee Heitre-Darrington, of course, our managing principal of design here at Formica. So such a great group. And as we get to go through kind of the jurors' comments, I think, seeing your perspectives on these students' work was also really fun for us too.
Yeah, so much fun. I count me in anytime. Before we get started, I just want everybody to know like what great collaborators you all are, because we worked together on our HIP Awards, and this year will be our second year doing the HIP Awards together. And it's so much fun, and the designers absolutely loved the award.
This, I will tell you, this is one of our favorite projects too. It is so much fun working together and figuring out something really neat and exciting that sits on a designer's shelf for an amazing year. So we're excited for this year, and we're excited for NeoCon. Also, we'll be bringing our student winners piece of furniture fabricated to NeoCon. So something to show off. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, so here, we're going to play a little game together, and we'll start off by, let's review like the top 10 of the students, and we'll just trade off back and forth. And you get started with number 10.
Okay, fabulous. So small drum roll, number 10. That's right. Love it. All right. Number 10 is Melissa Marchand from Algonquin College in Ottawa, Ontario. And I really loved Melissa's concept is called the tree hug chair. And I really loved her design statement because she talked about this coexistence between technology and nature. And she was really thoughtful in her material selection. Each of the materials she selected stood for something. So part of it was technology, she used aluminum. Part of it was nature, she used one of our walnuts. Part of it was new growth, she used our green felt. And then the last piece was the brighter side for a bright future, and she used our yellow felt. So loved this, and loved this idea of just hugging a tree. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I that's the thing that's super memorable too, is she said, yeah, I want to hug a tree, and I want to hug anybody right now, but a tree will have to do as well.
We'll take it. We'll
take it. Okay, so in ninth place, we have Dalmata Dreams by Becky Bors, and she went to school at the Center for Arts and Technology in Kelowna, British Columbia. And let's see, Becky, so she designed a wall unit with a fold-down table and pull-out chairs. Now, this is what she said. She said that the theme of the design challenge was to design for the new generation, and this piece embodies that they're connecting and are multifunctional. Now, this was a big deal in a lot of the entries, this idea of what something could be in a different way than what was expected. And also just different uses of things, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so multi-purpose.
Which I think that's right. I mean, today, everything can't just do one thing, right? It's got to do multiple things. That's the way our lives work. And I also think it's more sustainable that way. We're not buying lots of stuff. We've got one amazing piece that does multiple things for us.
Exactly. And I love their sensitivity and their kind of know-how, because now they're having to design in a different way of things collapsing and opening up. Also, I like that she used the terrazzo, because terrazzo is super trendy right now. So this girl's like, she understands the trends. So that was number 9. Congrats to Becky.
Awesome. All right. So number 8 is Alexis Bartolewski from Mississippi State University. And she designed the Hayami coffee table. And this is another one of those pieces that is kind of multifunctional. This amazing round coffee table with ottomans that you can pull out and shelving built right into the table. Love kind of the multifunctional, love that it can be as big or small as your space allows and as you need. This was a great piece.
Yeah, and also this idea, I don't know, there's something beautiful about a circle, something very holistic about a circle. And then the fact that there are these surprises, it's super innovative. Okay, so congrats to you. Number 8. In 7th place, we have Form. and it's by Elisa Westendorp, and she's from Algonquin College in Ottawa, Ontario. Oh, I really like this one. This one was this wall-mounted customizable shelving unit, and it had, check this out, it had 120 individual panels that can be lowered to 90 degrees. And I love that when everything was folded up, it created this beautiful striped pattern, but then you could use it in a million different ways. And it was clever of her too, like what would the types of Formica look like together? And she used Formica wood grain, and then she used different colors from the Infinity Laminates collection.
Really love this. And I mean, she talked about, one, it looks like when you've got it up, it's a piece of art in whatever room you're in. But then I think you're right. I mean, this is something that could be in a home, or this is something that could be in a commercial space. I agree. This was a really fun one.
Yeah, this is special.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you have for 6?
Okay, so number 6 is McKenna Rowe from the University of Tennessee. And this is the glowworm rocker. And she really took this idea of design for the next generation, thinking about children. And I love her statement because she said she designed this for the unmet needs of the younger generation and part of a larger movement to create a more accepting and inclusive future. This is a chair that rocks and is really designed for children on the autism spectrum. So if they need to stim or kind of rock to calm themselves down, they can sit in this chair. But McKenna points out that, you know, other children can use this just because they learn better when you move. And so I thought, one, the design is beautiful and the thought behind it is really fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the sensitivity of these kids these days, the minds and what they're thinking about for a better future is really like touching, right?
Mm-hmm. It is. And I think exciting to see as we go through all of these, kind of the research and the learning that they put in to really create something meaningful.
I mean, you can tell from these 10 how much work they actually did put in, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. So we got 200, and not to sidetrack us, but we got 244 submittals. And just wow, representative of what is coming in the design world. It's pretty exciting.
It really is. It really is. Okay. So let's go to 5th place. And the entry is called Life Cycle. And the designer is Eva Lloyd, and she's from North Carolina State University. Hi, Eva. And hers was another, it's so interesting, right? So you start to see the trend of what can a shape become? And her inspiration was family. I love that. So she said the table had to be versatile, fun, child-friendly, but also stylish so that it could fit in a living room and convert from maybe a coffee table to a kid's play table to adults playing a game of cards and using the seats as well. So I love that she was thinking about the entire family.
I do too. And I love too, it's a small space, big space. This works whether you have a small apartment or a bigger space in a larger house.
True.
All right. So our next one is Ilo from Simone Boudreau and Marc-Olivier Desjardins from the University of Montreal. And this is, again, kind of extendable furniture that fits for your space, but it's an adaptable table that can kind of grow or shrink and has storage built in. And I like this because they talk about, you know, future generations tend to consume in a more minimalist way for environmental or economic or just wanting to live more simply. And so this is that multifunctional piece of furniture, really beautiful. They use some of the deco metal laminates in it with a deep burgundy color. It's really beautiful and it's just sleek and simple.
Okay, so for the boys out there, I gave it super high marks because I found it to be really, really chic and really, really of the moment in terms of design. And I also liked how they used matte and gloss and the edging of the color, that little bit of color, that orange, and then brushed brass. I thought it was divine. So congrats, guys. You got super high marks from me. Okay, so in third place, again, nature. We've got nature coming into this competition. He's called Ryan Todes, and it's called You, Me, and a Tree, which I thought was super cute.
Yeah.
And he's from the University of Cincinnati. And he was kind of, are you from there?
No, but since it's down the street.
Oh, that's right. That's very cool. Yay, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So he was like kind of looking up and brainstorming keywords that define like the future and workers of the future. And he kept coming up with collaborative and biophilic. So very smart of him. And that's how those two ideas were incorporated into his furniture that connects people, as he said, with nature. And that's the chair is you, me, and a tree that can seat two people, or as he jokes, three if you count the tree.
That's right.
And you know what I liked about this one? This was completely different because it was meant for more public space. And so I thought his mind was not in the home, which makes a lot of sense that many were this year, but the fact that he was thinking bigger scale, because you could actually think about it also in multiples longer than 2 and 1 tree, but maybe 4 and 2 trees.
That's
I thought
right.
that was
yeah, absolutely. I thought that was super smart. And, I really loved, I think one thing that all of us kind of learned through the pandemic and through this experience of being in our homes, we developed this desire to be out and to be part of nature. And I love bringing that out in and just kind of building that connection. I also love, he really used our new elms, and I think those are some of our most fabulous new wood grains. And so I was really happy. Thank you, Ryan, for using our elms.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay. So, I think this is you. You're next.
Oh, very exciting. All right. So our second place winner is Maria Rodriguez from the University of Texas at Arlington, and she created Portal. And I love this because as we talk about kind of the next generation, so relevant for right now as we talk about return to the office and what is the future of the office space. And so she's created Portal, which is a multifunctional desk designed for video call meetings, or being in the office in this world that we're part in, part at home, half the team in the office, half the team at home. So it is this fantastic desk, and it's this L shape that kind of bends over, and it has lighting, built-in lighting, which hooray, I laugh at how many lights people have attached so they can do a good Zoom meeting. And then a background that is also a writable surface that you can write on for your meeting, and you can put them back to back and create an office. So really fantastic functionality, and really thinking about what is office going to be as we go forward.
Yeah, I loved, she's like, hey, COVID friendly, background ready, we're on, and it is kind of interesting that she was the only one of like our top 10 who was thinking in that way. So good on her. It was very, very smart and useful.
For sure. I'd like to order some for our office here as we start to bring people back.
That's right. There you go. So Maria, you already have some clients.
That's right.
Okay. So now we really need to do the drum roll, right? So let's do a drum roll. The winner of Form, and in first place, actually, they're a team. So it's Martin Gonzalez Godoy and Benedict Laurent for Taboom. First of all, okay, the name is kind of fantastic, right?
Love the name. Yes.
Yeah. So let's just start there. But what I thought was so interesting is it isn't typical that you would have a winner be children's furniture. So that's like a first. That, yes, to me, that's a first. And I have to say that as a juror, I actually gave 2 wins. One was theirs because first of all, I'd like to give more than one if I can, but also because I found that this one was so creative, so innovative, but it was for kids. So I gave 2 wins as my own, like, thinking about it. But I loved that the rest of the juror also felt the same way about it. And again, very multifunctional, but the hero are kids, and it's not just playing, but it's working and how to relax and how to put things away and how to play.
I think they really took the original form challenge to heart as they created for, the design for the next generation, the sit upon, play upon, lay upon. And I really loved, it's a very sophisticated, creative shape. And so often when you go to buy things for children, you kind of just want to push them back in the playroom and shut the door. But this is a multifunctional, fabulous piece of furniture that is wonderful to have out and in front of everyone. And I really liked that too.
I agree. It's super sophisticated, even though there's a wink and you understand it's for kids. It does look like a sculpture. It does look like it could have been from the original competition. And it would be very interesting to see these two design something for adults as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And I will say, one of the things I love about this story too, is I understand Martin's mother is a preschool teacher. And that was part of the original inspiration for this, is watching children play and kind of thinking about them living through the pandemic. So I love that piece of the story.
Yeah, that's beautiful. By the way, the students, they're both from the University of Montreal. And, a big shout out to Canada, because even at Interior Design, we get amazing work from Canada, good design minds there. And you could see it in the competition that Canada was in the house and well represented, which is fantastic.
They absolutely were. And this is actually year 2 for Canada, because last year, Alexandra Clement from Cégep Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu was our winner. And so, really speaking to the sophisticated design that we're seeing out of Canadian schools too. No disrespect to others, we're seeing amazing work from the US too, but kudos Canada, right on.
Totally. Hey, competition is good.
That's right.
So wait, so remind everybody again. So what will happen now?
You bet. So the students are joining us, actually Alexandra from last year and some of our other top winners are joining us, as well as our top 3 winners from this year are joining us at NeoCon. And so of course, we're excited to see you. We're excited to see the HIP Awards. We'll be exhibiting Benedict and the 2 winners' work and Martin's work, along with Alexandra's work from last year. And so we'll exhibit, and then they'll get to tour around Chicago, tour around NeoCon, and visit some of the wonderful firms in Chicago.
That's fantastic. Now, just so everybody realizes, so a year ago, Amy and I were doing the Zoom together, and we assumed we would see each other at NeoCon, and you would be able to show the 2020 winner, as you're saying. So I'm really happy to hear that he's coming this year at NeoCon.
I am too. I can't tell you, excited to see people again, excited to be able to show off the amazing work of these students, 2 years worth of students who have done work through challenging conditions. So creativity blossoms in hardship, certainly, and this is just proof of that.
Do you remember something that stands out just in terms of the competition itself? And do the students, do they reach out to you with questions? Who's helping source the sampling for them? How does that work?
Sure. So they work like designers work. They will source samples off of our website. They'll submit questions to us through our website. I think we find every year the students ask really thoughtful questions about the product. We find that during the competition, they're going through tech guides more than ever, which I really love, just the thoughtfulness that goes into picking the product and thinking about how to use it.
That's fantastic. So Amy, give us a little sneak preview of what we should expect from Formica at NeoCon this year.
We are so excited to be at NeoCon. This year, of course, in addition to bringing Formica, we are bringing our Phoenix brand, which came to us from our Italian sister company, ARPA Industriale. So we'll have those 2 at NeoCon together in a fantastic interactive exhibit. So we're excited about that. And of course, we've just launched some really nice sustainability pieces. One of the benefits to Formica when we were purchased by Broadview is we really gained access to incredible talent and thinking and leadership around sustainability. So we recently announced that we'll be carbon neutral by 2030, really working to align with what the design community is doing. And of course, we're reducing carbon by 25% over the next 4 years, gosh. So, you know, a lot on the horizon, but we've worked hard and have some neat things coming in our plants to make sure we're giving designers tools that are also sustainable and, you know, their environmental impact is as minimal as possible.
That's amazing. By the way, I'm really excited to see Phoenix in person as well.
Phoenix is really beautiful and really amazing. And, you know, I think what I love is our Italian friends gave us what has been really become the standard for gorgeous Italian kitchens. And I think the commercial design community too has taken it and developed amazing furnitures and walls and the casework. It's been fun to see American creativity paired with gorgeous Italian design.
Yeah, and yeah, this idea of being in a, you know, proud American company, and then this collaboration that's so interesting, and I think will bring about a lot of interesting new perspective, new product, new innovation, and it couldn't be, you know, better teamed with our pals at Formica for sure.
We think it's best ever. And I love this. I think having global sister companies, I think, speaks to kind of the way the world is, right?
Yeah.
The world is becoming smaller and smaller. We all work together, and we've learned from them, and they've learned from us. So it is a fantastic partnership.
Good. Well, big thumbs up on that. And, you know, to all the students out there who submitted to the competition, there were a lot of great entries. So congratulations to all of you. This is a really good way to get your ideas and your work out there. So submitting to competitions, it's going to be part of your life. So get used to it. And to the top 10, a huge congratulations. As you can see, the themes and the trends and the really bright thinking of these minds were that they were very, very connected into home, family, nature, and at home and at play. So, and a big congratulations to our winners, and we're going to see them at NeoCon, which is just around the corner, right, Amy?
Yes, it is. It is just around the corner, and actually our Form 2022 will kick off right before we hit NeoCon 2021. So 2 good things coming up. The future looks so bright for the design world. It really, every time we do this, I'm so heartened about the world, about the future, and about the future of design. And so good things ahead.
Absolutely. So, and a big congrats to our friends at Formica for this 2021 Forum Student Innovation Competition, and for giving to the industry and then trying to always push it ahead. Big thanks, Amy.
Oh, thank you for having me today, and thank you for being part of our jury, and can't wait to see what we see
Always.
next year.
Exactly. Me either.
Love it.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Welcome to Masterclass. I'm Pamela Jaccarino, Editor-in-Chief of Luxe Interiors and Design. Today, I'm thrilled to have A-list designer extraordinaire and the ultimate $1 million decorator, Martin Lawrence Bullard. Martin, hi, how are you?
Hello, Pam. How lovely to be here. How exciting to be doing a masterclass with you.
I know, and I see you're in your fabulous home in Los Angeles with that amazing ceiling. Is that hand painted?
It is. A guy called Brad Southwick literally camped out here for 3 weeks on his back painting that. It was sort of my own ode to the Sistine Chapel.
Well, yes. I mean, the fifth wall is very important. We know that. And yours is, of course, fantastic. I love it. And I've been in your home and it is just incredible. I want to take it back to the early days. You came to LA via London to be an actor.
That's
And
right.
you were in a film, and the producer of that film came to your home. He admired your place and he asked you to design his office. And that job led to another job, led to another job. And here we are today. You've got a thriving design business. But I'm curious, what did your rental look like back in the day? And what made him, what was he attracted to?
You know, I really started my career without knowing it at the age of 12. I sort of had convinced my dad on a Saturday morning to let me go to the local flea market, which was in a place called Greenwich, which is sort of South London. And I'd use my little bit of allowance, whatever it was, £5 or £10 or whatever it was back then. And I'd run around really early in the morning and buy things that I thought were pretty off of other people's stalls. Bits of little cups and saucers, lace tablecloths, maybe the odd silver spoon, stuff that I could afford that I thought was cool. And I would bring it all back to my stand and set it all up and make it look pretty and sell it to unsuspecting American tourists a few hours later.
So you were a merchant. You were a merchant.
And so that was really, I was doing that because it was my hobby and it was what I loved. But really and truly, it was my learning path. It was actually the thing that taught me period, style, how to put things together. And I did that until I was almost 17. And actually I made enough money to put myself through drama school. And then, as you said, I came to the States, I flailed around a little bit. I ended up getting a movie. And so the little house that Victor Ginsberg was the producer's name that came to visit that I had, it was tucked in the middle of West Hollywood. Funky little place. It used to be star dressing rooms for Charlie Chaplin. And so because it was dressing rooms, it was very sort of small and narrow, but really high ceilings. And I literally used my ill-gotten talent from the flea markets to run around all the new places I found here, like the Rose Bowl and the Santa Monica Airport flea market. And I bought old ceiling fans and sort of beaten up leather club chairs. And I created this kind of, almost colonial experience in there. Big palm trees. I mean, I really had no money. So it was all about sort of putting together a look, kind of a film set, I guess. And he loved that kind of out of Africa moment. And that's really what he asked me to do in his office. So it was kind of amazing that he loved this eclectic flea market finds situation and wanted to translate it into, at the time, one of the major production offices in LA.
That's fantastic. And I love that, sometimes I think that's the best training, right, for designers, just to get on with it and to do it and to, discover what turns you on and how you put things together.
Yeah, I mean, I've had no formal training, nothing whatsoever in the design field. Like I said, my training was really hands-on. It was buying something for $2 and selling it for $4 because you put it together with something else and it looked pretty. And that really is actually the main trick to interior design.
Exactly. And it's so interesting because I know a lot of actors who have then become designers. So I don't know, like, how do you see your, when you're approaching your design, do you imagine it as you're creating an environment and a set? Talk a little bit about those similarities for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously actors are creative beings as well, of course. And you're creating a character, you're setting a scene. And an interior is really a scene. It's hopefully a scene that reveals the personality of you or your client. But it's a scene, it's a stage set. It's a space that is your pronunciation to the world of, hey, this is my taste. You do see, actually, it's interesting, there are a lot of actors, a lot of theatre actors actually, that turn to become interior designers, because I think they get to understand on the stage how space works, you know, how much room you need to move around things, how lighting creates drama, how the placement of things, you know, one of the things that I love that they say in the movies is light to the money shot, which means you can have a set full of a bunch of old crap, really, and then you've got one amazing armoire or one expensive chair or something, and you'll see that's the piece that they kind of keep the camera on most of the time. And it's also a trick that you can do in your interiors. You know, you can fill your room with, you know, things from Crate and Barrel, for instance, and then you've got one or two vintage items that are in the prized spot, and suddenly you've created this extraordinary look where it all looks like it's sort of eclectic and amazing. So
and elevated, yeah, and
exactly.
and we love that high-low mix too. I mean, that's, you know, those are the best interiors that are just all about this interesting mix that's a bit unexpected. You have said that and for any designer, but you know, your taste and is always evolving. And you know, Martin, you are exposed to just the finest and most glamorous in design through where you travel and your persona and who you're exposed to. I'm curious what you've personally been into lately, especially since like you've been at home. I guess you've got your home in LA and in Palm Springs.
yeah.
But how have you been turned on to things during the pandemic, and what have you turned on by?
Wow. It's been so interesting being at home for a year, basically. And so the thing that has struck the chord with me the most is, you know, forget trends, forget fashion, forget what people are putting in catalogs telling you should buy. As always, you know, the ultimate trend, the ultimate luxury at home is comfort. So for me, it's about understanding that comfort is king, that every room in your home, you should be able to lounge in, lie in, read in, you know, do whatever the hell you want to in it, because we should be using all of our spaces and enjoying all of our spaces. You know, the old adage of saving, you know, best for high days and holidays. No, use everything today, enjoy everything today, set a table with grandma's china, you know, put the chandelier on when you're having breakfast. I mean, we have to live our lives. You know, as Auntie Mame said, you know, life is a banquet and some poor suckers are starving to death. Live, live, live. And so for me, that's what I've got out of. By the way, I did watch Auntie Mame twice during the pandemic.
And you can do it. I mean, the thing that's so great about that philosophy too, and which I love, is like you could do it on a grand scale and you could do it on a simple scale. You know, you can just, you know, go into your garden, cut the flowers and put them in a vase, and it brings just a special moment. And I think that as we're all in our homes, this has been a lesson, right? We're not traveling, so it's like, how do we create experience and things that make us feel good while we're in our home?
Yeah, and it's, you know, for me, you know, my home's always full of books. I love books. You know, they're great for inspiration, and of course they're wonderful props for decorating with. But one of the things that I've done is I've actually sat and read my books, which has been amazing. You know, and I got super inspired by going through all of my books and things. Some that I bought 5 years ago and never even opened. So that was kind of a wonderful thing. And of course, books really are such an inspiration for us. I mean, I usually gather my inspo from travel. You know, when young designers or aspiring designers come to me and they say, oh, what college should I go to? What school should I go to? What course should I take? I say, take the course of the world. Get a ticket and go travel. Now, whether that means you get on a bus and go 2 towns over, or you get on a plane and fly to Rome, travel gives you everything. It's the people, the places, the smells, all of those things that just soak into us, and kind of, they are there forever that we can draw on. And that, if you can't travel, then get a bunch of great books, because that also feeds your soul.
Absolutely. Martin, you have done homes for extraordinary people and A-list celebrities. I will name a few because the list is so long. Kylie Jenner, Kourtney and Khloe Kardashian, Tommy Hilfiger, Cher, Ellen Pompeo, on and on and on. And you've just done some magnificent interiors and work. Tell us what's like the most daring and exciting request that you've had from a client that you were just very excited to tackle.
I think when people ask me this, I've been so lucky because I've had so many extraordinary clients. And when you're working with those kind of like major entertainers where they've lived their life, under a camera, oftentimes they're not scared of being adventurous at home. They want to go for it. And so I've gotten to do some amazing interiors. I have to say that Cher was always extraordinary, because I've done several jobs for her, but my first one, when I first met her, she's told me that she wanted to live like the first wife of a Maharaja.
As one does. So
As
do
one
I.
does.
That's big diamonds and sapphires everywhere.
There was lots of that going on, by the way. But so when somebody gives you that as their design ethos, you got a lot to play with. I mean, and so I did amazing things with her. I bought, oh my God, facades of palaces in India. I bought old ceiling panels from a colonial villa in Pakistan. I bought unbelievable ancient Buddhas from China, amazing Kuan Yins. I mean, I got to buy all of these extraordinary things and recreate them in her then penthouse. And so that is a journey of extraordinary passion, on both of our sides. And it led to these magical interiors. Fun enough, I just saw there's an article out on them in People magazine today, which out of the blue, but it brought back such extraordinary memories. And everything there, she said to me, and I also want to be a Buddhist, but behaving badly. So I had all these amazing kind of back painted glass, verglas panels done with sort of mild scenes from the Kama Sutra that lit a hallway to the bedroom. So we kind of jazzed it up a little bit, but it was really fun.
That's such an incredible design brief to have, and again, this sense of adventure that you get to take, that's just so exciting. Cultures and traveling and putting it all together, and as you said, like in this interior environment has got to be fantastic. I also want to talk to you about color, because you love sort of a gutsy use of color. I think in your design work, there is what I would call a fabulosity to everything that you do. How, for people that are watching, how do you like to approach color? And then, how do people strike that right balance, Martin, between what's bold yet livable?
Color is such an important thing. To me, color is the essence of life. I am not a beige person. I need color. I feed from color. I love it. To me, it's as important as sunlight in a room to give you energy. But people are scared of color. They really are. They're scared of color because they've been taught that real estate brokers say, oh, don't paint your house pink because people only want to see it in white or cream because then they can understand it. It's nonsense. If you love pink, I assure you somebody else does too. And that person's the one that's going to end up buying your house. So there's something for everyone in the world. Color though. One of the first ways to ease somebody into color is to start off doing it in the smallest room in the house, which usually is the powder room. And there you can be adventurous. You can add color in. It's a tiny space. Powder rooms can always be fantasy-like. And it introduces somebody to the use of having color saturation around them, which I think is a really fun way to do it. But one of the things that I say to people about color is, what's your favorite color to wear? Of course, they usually say black. And then once we've got past that, it's like, it's blue or it's green or it's yellow. So if somebody feels good, if they feel sexy in a blue dress, then they're going to feel pretty good in a blue room. surrounded by that tone that makes their eyes pop or makes their skin look beautiful. And so that's a really great way to ease people into color, is to say, what is your favorite color? Think about how that makes you feel when you wear it. And then let's try it in your room or on your sofa or on lampshades, you know.
Right.
And it's a great way to ease them in. And believe me, once you're into color, there is no turning back.
Because it's such a fun form of expression. You could see from my background, I love color. It's hard for me to be in a neutral space at all. So Martin, what's your number one piece of advice for design clients or anyone who's sort of looking to add magic and mystery into their home? Like, what's something that they can, I don't know, maybe tackle that's, I don't want to use the word easy because easy doesn't sound like fun, but something relatively, I don't even want to say the word simple. Take it away, Martin.
Well, the simplest trick that is probably one of the most important is a dimmer switch. Lighting is everything in life. If you could be in the most beautiful room and if it's overlit, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Lighting allows us to change ambiance, to change the mood, but it also allows a room to go from blah to fabulous. Dim the lights, light some candles, hey presto. And that was about $20.
We did put dimmer switches in every single room because at this point in my life, it is a little scary for me to be in bold, harsh light. So dimmers and candles it is, darling.
Yeah, living in Hollywood, it's one of the things that we learn first is about lighting, because certainly when you work with actors and actresses, they never want to be lit from above, they want to be lit from the front. Even when I worked with the Kardashians, we had to find ways to add like little light strips into the ceiling that when they were on, they kind of blew you out and made you look amazing. So lighting is so important on every level. It makes you feel good. And if you feel good, you're going to feel good in your room. And if your room feels good, it's going to be inviting to everybody else around you.
It's all about lighting and that touch up my appearance on my Zoom, my Zoom application. That's the secret for me during this pandemic. Martin, you have designed so much incredible product over your career. Everything from lighting, tile, fabrics, wallpaper, porcelain, jewelry. You've got many, many, many fabulous collections. I am so curious what your dream product is to design. And I will let you answer, and then I'm going to come back with my thoughts on what I would like to see you design. But you go ahead first and tell me what's on your wish list.
Well, I've always loved jewelry. And so I was really excited to do a little jewelry collection. And to be honest, I'd love to really expand that. I mean, it's sort of a very odd, offshoot from my interiors, but I do love it. I think it's super exciting. But, one of the most interesting things is that I have all those licenses from fabric and wallpapers and tiles and, as you said, porcelain. I don't really have a furniture line.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, when I was creative director at Frontgate for the last 3 years, we did furniture, but it was done in a whole lifestyle experience, and a lot of it was outdoors, sort of indoor-outdoor experience. So I've never actually done a real solid furniture line, which is extraordinary, really, when you think about the 16 licenses that I have. So at some point,
is there any breaking news that we want to share here on DesignTV, or what?
Well, I have coming out this year. I have a great new collection with the Shade Store, by the way.
Oh, fabulous!
Which has been really fun because it's totally to the public. So unlike so many of my collections have been either really high end, like the Haviland or the Dome and the Christophe, have been very high end products. But this is really, obviously designers use the Shade Store too, but this is also to the public. So it's so nice to be able to have product that is direct to consumer. And I'm excited to see what people do with these fun fabrics and things that I've created for shades and drapery.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
But still no furniture line yet. I've turned about 6 different people down because I want the right partner to do it with.
Absolutely. Well, I think that will be incredible. And I am also just going to say, I'm just putting it out into the universe because I, for one, would love to see this. I feel like you need to, or he should call you, Elon Musk, I feel like you should design the first Starship rocket that they put out to Mars when like the public, because that would be amazing for it to go into a rocket ship designed by Martin Lawrence Bullard to Mars. I'm just putting it out there.
By the way,
that would be fabulous.
I'm dumping that furniture line and definitely taking your idea.
I feel like you could, I know you, so I feel like you could do the furniture probably like, a year or two, because the rocket really, honestly, for high rollers that want to go to Mars, that's a couple of years off. So I'm going to put in for you to do both. No pressure.
I think that would be amazing. I mean, it would be so exciting to do something like that, right? Because it is literally out of this world.
Yes. Yeah. So I have one more question, and then we're going to do our fun rapid fire. Your work and you as a person, your whole aura exemplifies a beautiful, glamorous life. What are your tips for our audience to sort of, to live a good life, and what is your philosophy that you can share, Martin?
Well, I think, I said it earlier, that modern luxury is comfort. Don't have anything around you in your home, wherever you are, that you don't feel like it's comfortable, that you want to lounge on and make love on and touch. You know what I mean? Life is for living. It's so important. And as the great Oscar Wilde said, remember, all beautiful things belong to the same age. So don't ever be stuck in thinking, just because you've got a modern sofa, you've got to have a modern armchair, you can mix it up with a bit of vintage. If a bowl from CB2 sits next to a Picasso painting and they're both beautiful, they're going to be more beautiful together. So never be afraid, never follow fashion, follow your heart, and that will always lead to beauty.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and we're going to wrap this up with my Inside the Designer's Studio rapid fire questions. Martin Lawrence Bullard, what is your favorite word?
Delicious.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Travel.
What turns you off?
Not traveling.
What is your favorite curse word?
Oh, fuck.
What sound or noise do you love, Martin?
I love the sound of laughter.
What sound or noise do you dislike?
Crying.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'd really like to be a pop star.
Yes, you would be fabulous as a pop star. Oh my God, the wardrobe would be fantastic.
It's all about the wardrobe.
It's all about the wardrobe. Oh my God, that would be so fun. Someone should just storyboard that out. I'm just saying, that's another thing I'm putting out into the universe. Martin, my final question is this. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You lived, you loved, and you decorated.
Well, thank you so much, Martin. It is such a treat to be with you and to speak with you. I love your insight and everything that you have to say. And thanks for being part of DesignTV today.
Always such a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much.
Hey design friends, this is Cindy Allen, and welcome to another episode of At Home, where we take you inside a designer's own cherished home. Today we head out to Eastern Long Island to the South Fork, where one of the industry's top American architects celebrating classic modernism today, Lee Mindel, our very own Lee, of Shelton Mindel, designs his own stunning waterside retreat. And trust me, this is something special. Hi, Lee.
Hello, Cindy.
How are you?
Pretty good. Nice to see you. Always
so nice to see you too.
Yeah.
You know, I remember, it was a long time ago now, but I remember when you started building this home. Tell us a little bit about, because I remember the little house before this house.
Well, there was a little Unabomber shack on here, a very humble Unabomber shack on a absolutely magnificent site. And I thought of, gosh, if one could take advantage of the context and explore the different vocabularies on Long Island, what a wonderful opportunity it was. So I remember standing on the crumbling Unabomber shack's roof with a ladder,
Oh, really?
kind of fantasizing about the views, and it was kind of a scrubby site, but there was water and there was the sunset. And what brought the painters to the Hamptons was the water and the sunset. So I thought, if maybe this could be something, we could build a job without an apparent client.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to think of myself as a client. I wanted to think of the idea as the client and follow the idea through.
Lee, how hard was that to do, actually?
It was really rough because neighbors are always afraid of people that come in, particularly of architects, into older neighborhoods. And when they see something like a concrete truck coming in, they think you're building a nursing home.
Right, right.
The construction and scaffolding, they're always afraid that you're going to undermine their neighborhood and their context. Our goal was to do the opposite.
Right, of course.
Irony, and I worked on this with my best friend from Harvard GSD, Reed Morrison. We worked on this. It was such a challenge on the site with the setbacks and the new zoning codes to build something that actually ultimately kind of disappeared, even though it was different than what was here. And the irony is now when you walk across the beach or whatever, and you look towards this site, you kind of can't tell what's going on here. And all the old contextual houses look much louder and more prominent than this was. So I was the turtle killer, the person killing the neighborhood, and took an awful lot of grief from everybody. But now people are quite happy because how you have the opportunity in architecture to respect the environment and not build a mausoleum per se, and explore things and views. And in fact, the site is nicer because of the intervention here than if you created something that looked just like the neighbors' buildings.
Right. So you had water to the north, and yet you wanted to bring the light in from the south. So
Yeah.
so let us know how you actually came up with the design.
Very, very good question, Cindy, because that's the conundrum when you have views that face north.
Right.
You want to get the south light. How do you deal with that? So we created this kind of origami structure that complied with the street geometry on the front. And it is a concrete structure which is clad in a kind of quilt of contextual wood that relates to all the architecture around it. There are gestures that look like a drawbridge, a refreshment stand peeled off of the facade, a barn door that peels off of the facade. So it was to draw on not only with architectural components, but with the landscape components of the project did the same thing. Create a quilt of the contextualism to celebrate the area we were in. So we took—
I like how you describe it. I won't say it. You just describe how you opened it, how you—
Well, it's kind of like an origami puzzle that opens up and closes, you know, and the building itself breaks open. To answer your question of how do you deal with north view and south light, the building is organized on a boardwalk, and everything on the light south side of the boardwalk complies with the street geometry. But then in order to bring the light and to break towards the geometry on the north exposure, the building shifts and breaks open. So everything along the boardwalk on the water side is affected by the current of the water, and it is pulled away from its other volume, creating a kind of crevice and a shift. And in that shift from up above, the south light comes in and informs the house. So the attempt was to try to get the best of all the worlds that were here. The beautiful south light in the front, which is more private because it is the front, and then the shifting geometry along the water and the water views. So the shift in those geometries create beautiful diagonal axes through the house. So you can always see front and back, but it's very private and it looks very small from the front. And as you move towards the side, the hypotenuse of the triangle is always the largest dimension. Those components that you see the shift are on an angle, so they look larger, but they're very discreet because you never see them from the street or the water, only along the boardwalk. So
I like how you describe, I like how you describe that the opening, which you're describing as origami, but you described it as opening it like a cracked egg.
it is, it's,
Yeah.
it is, and then it's almost if you took the shells of the egg and you shifted them, and you got the experience of the void between the two.
Right.
And so this sort of, what separates the two buildings is a glass wedge, actually. The building has a wedgie. So
The building's got a wedgie. There you go. There's some of that Lee humor.
yes, so it's got this glass wedge, and it sparkles all the time, and it feels like a lighthouse in a way. And it respects the water, and the discrete shell of the building is made up of the contextual components of all the neighboring houses and adjoining properties.
You know, it's funny because the front of the house also feels very hidden. I thought when I was looking at pictures that may have been the back of the house at first, like where you got married, right?
The more glassy side is to the view,
Mm-hmm.
but the way the light was achieved in the front was the wedge pops up above everything. So that totally fills in the house with light, but it allows the front to be private and discreet.
Mm-hmm.
So from the street, it's very low key.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I actually loved that, Lee. When I figured out, oh, it's hidden, but it's in the front of the house. I thought that was really special.
well, the another issue in these site plans that you have to deal with are enclosures of spaces, outdoor spaces. For example, swimming pools in certain areas, you have to have fences. But fences sometimes look like they're enclosing something. So we created a series of gates areas.
Right.
So no enclosure is the same that surrounds an area. So by creating the stone retaining walls, they look like an entry to something, and then the other closure is done through other means. So around the pool, there are actually 4 types of enclosure that give it the legal enclosure. One is the stone retaining wall. The other is a kind of hidden fence in the planting. The other is a kind of barn meadow indigenous fence, and then the building itself. So you're never aware that you're being enclosed.
Was the pool house built at the same time, Lee?
Yes.
It was. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it feels like it was always meant to be there. And yet it has its own personality at the same time, which I love.
Well, that's an interesting point, because since that's closest to the property line, the intention there was to make a transition from the small contextual architecture. So there's a gable that's fully exposed in the first bay that's quite low. In the second bay is a semi-enclosed gable, same gable. And in the third is a fully enclosed. So that is the transition on that corner where that indigenous building, as it were, has a glass curtain wall that you never see until you're in the back, and that foreshadows all the glass used in the main building.
So we'll talk about the pool house because it's fantastic, but let's get inside the house.
Okay.
How big is it? How many bedroom and baths are there?
I've never counted the square footage here.
An architect who doesn't know the square footage, I love
I
it.
purposely don't, because
No.
but it's 3 bedrooms in the main house, and in the pool house there's a bedroom upstairs. Each of them embraces views of the landscape and gets a little surprise when you're in each of those spaces.
Everything is glorious, let's face it. I can see that there's, you're sweeping up. Is that in the living room?
There's a 2-story corner. I call them multi-useless sitting areas because there's so many places to look at the view. So they're multi-useless, which are the best kind. But wedge is 2-story, and then the sort of dining sitting area has a 2-story corner, and I'm in the living room now, which is more of a 1-story thing. So these spaces are sculpted and hollowed out in different places.
And you also have to, you're connecting 2 sides of the house on the 2nd story, right?
Yeah, there's a bridge that connects the master suite from the other bedrooms, and it's a sculptural component because instead of having railings, it's a kind of glass tunnel that is in the wedge, completely illuminated. And it's even, you can see through the bottom, it's made of subway grating. So it feels transparent.
You know, you sort of found a way, I don't know how you do it, Lee, but you know, every interior almost looks like an art gallery, but it feels warm and inviting at the same time.
We were very conscious here of the need to have a pH balance of warm and cool.
Uh-huh.
Concrete on its own is very gray.
Right.
It can be very cool. And wood on its own can be too hot and warm. So here we used farmed eucalyptus, large architectural expressions of it, the core of the building and a whole side of kitchen and HVAC area. And so there was an attempt to balance warm and cool. The wood components are large architectural elements, and when they're juxtaposed against the concrete, they create a balance. They don't own a gender, they don't own a hot or a cold, they neutralize each other, and they are better off because of their adjacency. The wood is so happy to be by the concrete, you know, to cool off. And the concrete is so happy to be by the wood to warm up.
And all the glass too.
And the glass. So, and plus we made an attempt to make a very honest building where you can understand exactly how it's constructed. The challenges of that, for example, was in revealing all the slabs, the electrical work had to be set with beer cans in the pouring of the slabs because you have no drop ceiling or anything. And we hit it right 99% of the time. There are a couple of holes there that had to get filled that didn't quite make it. But generally, it was hard, but it was worth it because you understand the full shell, the full enclosure, and the logic of a building. To cover up the logic of a building sometimes is a crime. Buildings often look better when they're framed than when they're completed. So the attempt here was to explore that idea of how to look at the shell of something while also creating finishes and an hierarchy within it.
You have like, you know, obviously you have such amazing collection of furniture and objects from the 20th century, and so many artists are represented there. That's your calling card in a way. You know, we always expect to be surprised with you, Lee.
When we started the practice, I was so grateful to be trained by great people who actually I was trained by or people that I studied. And at the time, it seemed possible to actually be able to acquire those things very reasonably. And I was determined in this project to explore my own architectural DNA. And the people that all meant something to me, I felt I wanted them to be able to have a conversation together and that I could still be their pupil in that conversation. So they're all represented here in different pieces. Le Corbusier is speaking to Charlotte Perriand, who's speaking to Arne Jacobsen, who's speaking to Gio Ponti.
They're all happy. They're all happy friends playing with Lee, right?
And well, having a conversation with themselves, and I'm their pupil and student. So I'm still in awe of who they are. And I'm almost intimidated that these represent those people who mean so much to me and taught me so much.
You also like have an amazing hand with color, which is very hard to do. And you're just you're so brilliant at that.
I never think of pop of color. It's one of my pet peeve sayings. I just,
really?
I call them tableau jobs, okay?
Okay.
Because there are kind of relationships that objects form with each other in the dialogue. And if you listen to the object and you look at the context, something comes out of that conversation. For example, in this site, the grasses are all chartreuse and the leaves can turn orange and there are woods everywhere. Now, if I duck to the side, you'll see that in this room, that is expressed in the wood ceramics that are on the back console there.
I
Now,
see them. I see them.
so the grasses over here, they look like the grass is coming up. So when you're inside and you're looking at these pops of color, they're not really pops of color. They're the nature that's happening in the site. So you're starting to relate them to the context that's here, and they don't seem alien. They seem like they're having a relationship not only with themselves, but with what's going on outside. And so that way, nothing really seems alien here as an attempt to do so. I mean, I've probably failed many times, but you kind of look outside and you look inside yourself, and then things start to happen by feeling deeply about what you're doing. And that's a hard thing to express to anybody, the feelings we have inside and reaching inside yourself to try to find an answer.
And I see that you have a yellow wall in a room that just works, like you said, it's almost like a language. And
I'm going to tell you why that yellow wall's in there.
okay, tell me, I want to know.
It's the only room deprived of the sunset.
Ah.
And there's a Calder tapestry, straw tapestry, that is the sun, that hangs on the wall of the only room deprived of the sunset. So that's why that's there. The other guest room, which is not deprived of the sunset, has a blue wall.
Mm.
But those are also the colors of the Bauhaus, of Charlotte Perriand, of Le Corbusier, and all the people that taught me so much. And then there's a dematerialization in the house of the color of wood, of driftwood, of sky, of water, of clay, of sand. And those components make up the vocabulary here.
I love that. I love that. And it makes perfect sense. And you can see how much care and consideration for every single thing. Like, that's who you are, Lee, and that's why you're so special. All right, but let's move to the pool house, which is very exuberant and fun, still edited and restrained, and there is a different kind of color. What were you trying to say there? Actually, same color, but in a different way.
Well, I was again being trained sort of the Bauhaus and through Mondrian and the Albers disciples. I was also thinking of when a swimming pool was built and we were able to acquire the Tony Rosenthal cube, that pool toys are always bright colors.
Yeah.
So in tandem with the Bauhaus, in tandem with pool toys, the pool house becomes a pool toy. And all the shapes and things in there are a dolphin shape, they're amorphic, they're of the water. And that, again, that relationship of the things outside the blue water and the sculpture and the things inside relate to each other. But they're appropriate there because that's not the bay side. It's the pool side, which has an oblique view of the bay, but it's very different. I wouldn't want to distract from Peconic Bay, but at the pool, which is a little more discreet, you could then create relationships of inside and out that belong to that part of the project.
Hmm. And yet when you go up to the bedroom, it's very quiet, it's very serene.
Well, the intention there was like you were climbing the maple tree outside.
I love that.
Maple in there, the ceiling, the walls, the floor, and you feel like you're in a treehouse up there, up in the eaves, and with an overlook, and all you see are trees and water when you look out of there. So it feels very cozy up there, very quiet.
And that house and the pool house is closer to the street, right? And the vernacular is more, I don't want to say more farm, more modern farm. How would you describe that?
It leans into cottage. It has latent cottage tendencies.
Right, exactly.
But then it transitions later as we move down the site by the water into the two-story glass, which foreshadows the glass in the wedge along the boardwalk.
Perfect. Perfectly said. Now I'm afraid to say anything. You know, I love the aerial shot of the whole setup. The angles are so delicate and so beautiful, and then the water beyond. It's really something. I mean, don't you want to show everybody from above?
Well, I have to say, I got a drone for my birthday. That was the maiden voyage, and then I crashed it 5 minutes later. The drone's not working so well, but we got that footage out of it. We had to have a tree climber come up and get that thing to get the film out of it. But it is beautiful from above. I was very happy to see from the air, it looked like the diagram we drew initially. That was perhaps one of the most gratifying things, that you start with a bubble diagram.
Right.
And then 10 years later, you end with a bubble diagram. That was rewarding. When we worked with the RF landscape, one could say, how could you compete with a water view? You know, a water view is special, but
Right.
there's so many views out here that are beautiful. And what are those? If you were to kind of make a quilt of the architecture of the landscape as we did with the architecture, one could say, well, they're the beautiful horse fields here. There are beautiful meadows. There are wonderful hedges. There's wonderful lawn. There's water, and there are grasses. So what were the appropriate places to incorporate that thing? So the building is surrounded by the collage of the landscapes, just as the building itself is a collage of the context. So to the water side, you know, a lot of people think they have to rip up everything to get a water view. That's what's destroyed our shoreline. So we actually, in working with the DEC, planted all these grasses and all the indigenous things. So in the rear of the house, it almost looks like the tide of the water comes right up to the back terrace, as it were. So those grasses are 4 and 5 feet high. There are 3 types. There's fescue. And so whatever season it is, they turn a color. Now they're chartreuse, they will go purple, then they will go beige. They're just beautiful no matter what season. And when the wind blows and the rain is on them, it's mesmerizing to hear that and watch that beautiful, beautiful movement.
Definitely. And so Lee, tell us what this compound, what does it mean to you? When you were telling me that you create spaces that, that calm people. You're a very energetic guy. What's it like when you get out there?
Well, I'm really an employee of the place, because to keep it right, you know, you want to make sure it's always okay. But I have to say, particularly during COVID, which has been challenging for all of us, I'm so grateful and so appreciative of this, which I had taken for granted and was working in so many far off places that I could never get here to the point that I am now. So to be able to see the seasons change, we felt like an infiltration of the movie The Birds with Tippi Hedren.
All right.
On the dock that goes out, we had both eagles and all kinds of ospreys and ducks and stuff, and they used the dock as a forensics kind of mortuary table. So they come in the morning and they bring all their roadkill there. Blue jays and all this stuff, because people backing off of the environment has also opened it up, and clams and crabs. So I have a great appreciation. I'm looking out the window now, and I'm watching the maple tree in the back, the shadow against the solar veil. And I'm thinking, that's amazing. And yesterday, I was just looking up and watching the movement of nature, and it's made me more conscious of that. And I'm so grateful for that, because we
is there a favorite room or a favorite spot in the house that you always gravitate towards?
I discover a new favorite place almost every day. Like right now, I never sit in here, but I want it to be proper for you. So now this is
fantastic
a place because it's my favorite place with you.
Right.
So it depends who you're with to have your favorite place. It's never on my own. It's sharing it with somebody and finding something about it. And when people come to visit, letting them find a place that they like, and then I rediscover it through their eyes. And that's a lot of fun.
I bet everyone wants to stay at the pool house, in the guest tree house room, right?
We've had people take the master bedroom too. people have taken everything.
Oh my God, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Lee? You
Well,
can't
if they
help
want
it.
to take the master, then my new favorite place is the pool house.
Right.
Forced to go there, and you have a new experience. I've slept in every room, not with every person, but I've slept in every room.
I don't want to know about this. I don't want to know about this.
But I've enjoyed the experience of everyone. I mean, one of the bedrooms is all Le Corbusier's dorm furniture, and the room is kind of divided in two places. So I love that. It has the blackboards from the school he designed, and another room has Perry and things in it, and the master bedroom has a suite of Clint furniture, Scandinavian.
Love that.
There's
Love that.
Most master bedrooms don't have a piano, but there's another library space adjunct to it. So there's a piano that I bang on occasion. So each of these at different times of the year, when it snows, some places look better. The fireplace looks better when it's snowing, you know. But
And the most beautiful experience, can I say, is that you got married. You just recently got married there.
yes, in the middle of a biblical rainstorm, when the skies cleared for the ceremony, and then it started to rain right after, and then the most beautiful sunset ever. It was a really wonderful experience, and we had a very limited group of people, and we did the 6 foot on center spacing of Bertoya chairs, which was very nice.
Well, that's so beautiful, Lee. Thank you for sharing that. Blessings to you and Jose and all the love in the world. And this is a house that is your house, your forever house, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I used to feel too much like an employee, and now I feel like I'm a resident.
Yeah.
Because COVID has allowed me to make the transition.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It's magical for all these years to have this time together to talk about it. Next time we're going to tour, it's going to be together, but this is as best as we can do for now.
I also want to thank you for the support you've given this house. It meant so much to me. I can't tell you the acknowledgement and the interest in it.
Are you kidding? I want to share it with everybody.
So
And watch out, you're going to have a lot of people going, oh, I was just in the neighborhood.
when COVID is over, let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, big hug, love and blessings. Take care.
So much.
Bye, everybody.
Good to see you.
See you at the next At Home.
That's right.